I'm on Twitter last night, and look, I am diametrically opposed to most of what Ann Coulter thinks about Donald Trump, although her immigration stuff is great. Diametrically opposed. I couldn't feel more differently. And I got to tell you, I love her. She's smart. She's provocative. She knows what she's doing. And for people to get that angry, get a effing life, man. Who cares? Let her have her opinion and let her go with it. She's a smart lady. So what?
Hey, Ann. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Oh, let Sid keep talking.
No, you know, I mean it, and I know you've seen it because some of these tweets, they put your at Ann Coulter in them, so you do see them. And I kept telling these guys, look, if you disagree with Ann...
1 million followers, I do not see.
Okay.
I go to notifications now and then.
Okay. Well, all I said was, let her do her thing. If you disagree, so what? It doesn't mean she's not well-informed. She's smart. She's opinionated. So what?
You know, to that point, and you had one hell of a provocative column, that I happen to agree with wholeheartedly. The Wrath of Khan, talking about the parents of the Muslim soldier who was killed in Iraq.
You know, I think this Khan thing, it really. I mean, I think we all anticipated, whether you liked Trump or not. We knew the media was going to be like something we had never seen before, and still, I am sitting back amazed. I mean, there is nothing Trump can do. It's I go right now to time.com. I was thinking of putting this in my column this week. You read one article on Trump, and then they have, other articles, 2016 election. And it's like a joke. All of the articles, every single one, is Trump a child molester? Did he lie? Look at his stupid economic policy. Absolutely nothing on Hillary. You probably saw that article in the New York Times. By a media reporter admitting, saying,
yeah.
"Oh yeah, absolutely, we're completely biased against
sure.
Trump." But we should be. It's Donald Trump,
right?
I've never seen anything like this, and Khan is the perfect example of this. I mean, maybe I don't know America, but looking at that guy angrily haranguing Americans. I mean, usually when you have these. Whether they're victims for a legitimate cause or an illegitimate cause, and I'm not saying legitimate to say I agree with it, though, if your child or your family was a victim of something and you're using that to illustrate a government policy, or, maybe it's a manufacturing defect.
Okay.
You're raising that issue and using your child as an example.
Let me stop you. Let me stop you. Let me stop you for a second, because I'm going to play the other side here. And first of all, where I do agree...
But I haven't finished the point.
Oh, no, but the point is... Okay, go ahead.
In this case, he's using the fact, as with the Jersey girls, and actually Cindy Sheehan isn't completely part of that, but they use their victimhood to argue for a policy that has nothing to do with why their child died. It's just, I'm a victim, you can't respond. So, I mean, how did Khizr Khan's son died? He died in a war that Hillary Clinton supported and Donald Trump didn't. At least when, say, the parents of illegal alien murders, speak, what they're saying is, stop letting illegal aliens in. My son wouldn't be dead. That is a government policy that would change the result of this. And of all liberals love Muslims. They don't mind the terrorism part, but boy, they don't like the gay stuff or the anti-woman stuff. And Trump points out that it was a little weird having the wife stand there utterly mute in her hijab. I just can't imagine that is appealing. For the media to go crazy on Trump on that, it shows you how they are dropping all standards, everything else they believe. If Trump said it, if Trump did it, it's bad.
Well, here's what I saw when I read the article. First of all, I could not agree more. There's nothing in the Constitution that states we are supposed to let in 100,000 or more Muslims a year. I agree with that, okay? But while you're going up in the column about how the liberals use the victim to their benefit, I would say this. The RNC, last I checked, was a week before the DNC. And God bless Mrs. Smith and her son and Mr. Woods and his son. God bless their souls. But the first time I saw parents up on stage with victims, policy or not, was the RNC the week before.
But that fits into exactly what I'm saying. They were lied to directly from the horse's mouth. They're talking about something that the media is covering up. It was a government policy. We're not going to rush in troops to save these guys because we don't want to make a big deal of it. It's Hillary's policy as Secretary of State, despite the fact that the ambassador was begging for more protection, saying it's dangerous, it's dangerous. And then despite the fact that it happened on 9/11, them going and blaming some, Americans' internet video, they are talking about something specific to this incident. It's not just like, okay, now the Democrats are going to find a small girl orphaned when her parents were slaughtered by, Charles Manson to present their tax plan. That's what I'm talking about, using these human shields to talk about policies as opposed to the issue. For example, what do they have that? Remember the John Walsh, the most wanted?
Yeah.
What was that called? Anyway,
America's Most Wanted.
Yeah, that has a point to it. They catch people. They're not saying, my son was murdered and that's why we need entitlement reform.
No, you make the case brilliantly, of course, and it's just a way to shut down the debate over what to do with the immigrants coming in here, the Muslim immigrants in particular, in the wake of all these massacres. That's all it is. It's not racist, but they frame it that way. It's not bigoted. It's actually a security concern, but this is what they do to shut that debate down, and successfully, because the media... they collude with these people, maybe not on paper, but they definitely collude with them.
Yes, and it's just overwhelming, and all I can say is, well, other than listening to Burning in City, you just got to stop watching TV. And I've never seen anything like this. There's never been so. I mean, if Trump wins.
Stop.
He will have overcome not only every hateful person in America, but he will overcome more than any president ever has.
Maybe more than Jesus. To me, it'd be a bigger accomplishment than walking on water, to be honest, if he wins.
No, I know. It's every single media outlet.
Everyone.
The problem with that is look, I think Trump has made a few mistakes in the past, and I've been tough on him when he has. But in the last month, he hasn't made any mistakes. It's just the media haranguing. And there's some people who aren't paying that close attention, or paying a little bit of attention. And the one thing they know is, wow, a lot of people are upset about this guy.
That's all they know,
They're saying if you support him, you must be an idiot or a Nazi. And those people, some of the, I don't want to call them weak-minded, but weak in this way, they really are influenced by the media. I mean,
sure, like even the entertainment media, all the late night guys and all the subtle jibes you get on entertainment shows, all of that stuff.
It's overwhelming.
It really is
nonstop. This guy, I think he's an economics professor. Anyway, he's very smart. UCLA. Tim Gross-Close. He wrote a book a few years ago. I think it's called Left Turn, where he actually calculated the influence of media bias. You should have him on. He's very smart and interesting. And he estimated that just in your average year, media bias cost the Republican candidate for president about 8 points. Well, how about in a year where they're acting like Hitler is running?
Right, exactly right.
Yeah, but it is
what they do.
But it is kind of funny that, as Donald Trump was steamrolling through this such an impressive group of senators and governors on his way to the nomination, there was very little talk about this. But now that he's getting his ass kicked in most polls by double digits, now he says last week the election is rigged. Now my best friends, you and Bernard, are talking about a biased media.
The system
whatever.
is rigged.
Now, he said the election. He's afraid the election is going to be rigged come November.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden there are excuses up the ass why he's going to lose in November coming from everywhere. When Rudy Giuliani goes on a talk show and talks about the election may be rigged, he sounds ridiculous, Ann.
No, I don't think so
Not at all.
Of course, we know that Democrats steal massive numbers of votes, and Trump has been talking about a rigged system from the beginning. I mean, he has Goldman Sachs and all of Wall Street. I mean, it's weird. The donor class of the Republicans agree with the Democrats. The voters of neither the Democrats or the Republicans agree with the Democrats or the Republican establishment. But Trump is out there alone, so you have to actually listen to what he's saying to see that he's the only one who isn't going to ship your jobs abroad or replace you with a foreign worker or move, some Syrian refugees, Somali refugees, any of them into your backyard. It's just overwhelming. But yeah, of course, there's always cheating from the Democrats, and I suspect it will be much more aggressive this year. It's very smart what Trump is doing, because he does have not only a large number of genuine followers, and not just followers who want jobs or want to make money off a Hillary presidency, but he has intense followers, and he's going to need to deploy them as an army to be poll watching.
So
I know people as Democrats who have stolen votes. This is part of the Democratic Party. There are many ways to do it. And yes, it will be far more aggressive than usual. Also, look at what he's talking about. The election was just, look at what the Democrats did
to Bernie Sanders. Of course. It's a lack of voter ID laws, it's same-day registration, and the media collusion. That's the system being rigged right there is what he's talking about. And Ann Coulter, the latest Republican useful idiot for Hillary, is Susan Collins of Maine. She said that based on Donald Trump's disregard for the precept of treating others with respect, I cannot support Donald Trump. But she won't come out and support Hillary. She doesn't have the onions to come out and support Hillary, though.
Well, two things on this. One is there aren't too many Cruz supporters who are still in the Never Trump crowd. But, I mean, just to all Republicans, I would say the essay portion of the exam is over. We are now down to the multiple choice section, and there are only two choices. So Stop trying to write your essays for us. It's Trump or it's Clinton. And if it's Clinton, everything you've been pretending to care about is going to be gone. She is going to get enough Supreme Court justices, in the first month, to end the Second Amendment, to make sure you will never have a shot at stopping, abortions up to age 30. There will be lots of wars. Your job will be outsourced. It is a multiple choice question now, and for some people like Susan Collins, somewhat liberal state, all these ridiculous foreign policy mavens, come on, this is totally in their self-interest. They get strange new respect from the media. Yeah. It's not going to hurt them with their voters. They're totally out if Trump gets in anyway. And my second point is, it is hilarious, the strange new respect some of these Republicans are getting from the media, especially those alleged, foreign policy experts who signed that letter yesterday. Right. Yeah. I mean, there are people like Dick Cheney. I've been hearing for a decade that these guys are Darth Vader, and now suddenly, a very respected foreign policy.
Of course,
advisor.
the enemy of my enemy.
Listen, and we agree there, Bernard and I, that if you're not, at least have the balls to say Hillary. Don't be like Scott Riegel out of Virginia today voting for Gary Johnson. Listen, the last thing I ever want from you, Ann, as a dear friend of both of ours, is to be in a bad mood. But how are you going to feel later on today when Paul Nehlen gets his ass kicked by Paul Ryan in Wisconsin?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because we've all been talking about this. Look, this is the most powerful Republican, Paul Ryan, in the country. It's a lovely district. They have not felt the effects of immigration. They do not have any Syrian refugees. It's like you're back in I'd say 1950s, but it could be 1980s America. So much of the country has changed so much. So, the poll over the weekend showed Ryan winning. And from being out there this weekend, everyone tells me, oh, yeah, the voters of the district know that Ryan isn't very bright, but they know him. He's at the grocery store. They like his wife. And also, they're proud that he's the speaker. The Washington Post poll over the weekend says Ryan has an 80% chance. I mean, this would be stunning. Any House member losing in a primary. So we all know it would take divine intervention.
Yeah.
But you don't want to say that before the election because you don't want to discourage voters.
He ain't going to get cantered.
By Nehlen running, that's the primary opponent who is opposed to the job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership deal. He is opposed to mass immigration of Muslims and resettling the Syrian refugees here. I don't know why we can't help them in Syria or a little closer to home. But one thing is, simply by running against Paul Ryan, that has prevented the Trans-Pacific Partnership from going through. And Nehlen said he's sticking around. He's going to run again in 2 years. So Nehlen has accomplished quite a bit already. I mean, I don't know if you saw yesterday, Ryan was going around, the man they call the Republican Jesus. He was going around to the few manufacturing plants that still exist in that district, talking to the workers, talking like Trump on trade.
Really? See the Trump effect. Hey, look, he's no like Susan Collins. Paul Ryan is no rocket science, and he's no exemplar of courage. Of course, when Trump was getting criticized for the Mexican judge comments, he goes, "That's the dictionary definition of racism." Well, he should look that up because that's about inferiority and superiority of races. It had nothing to do with that, but he caved. As you point out, to he wanted to be a darling of the media, and he caved to it and made that statement at a critical time, and it showed cowardice and ignorance, if you ask me.
Yes, I think that's right. And by the way, I think that probably, as long as we're speaking among friends, that was probably the last time Trump made a mistake, not because he raised the ethnicity of the judge. For Pete's sake, for the last, year, the media has been telling us, Mexican voters or Mexican-American voters, they're going to hate Trump. They're going to hate Trump because he wants to build a wall. All Trump says is, I think this one Mexican-American is going to hate me. It was more that the media turned it into a bigger issue. It was, an aside, the judge is ruling against Trump. The only thing that was unfortunate about that was it wasn't an issue facing America. It was this
Trump University.
Yeah,
it was an effort to knock Trump's knee out at the knees by going after one of his 900 businesses.
Well, 60 seconds to go. We have to run here, Ann, and as always, you're great and we love you. But any response? You had your deal with the Khan family. Nikki Haley in South Carolina took exception to that. You went after her in one of your columns, and her response was, bless her heart. Any response to Nikki Haley?
She said that about Khan or my attacks on her?
About you.
I think it's.
Take your time.
All right.
We got time.
Come on, Ann.
In by accident. Let's see what happens to the rest of her political career.
Okay.
Ooh, all right. I like that.
I don't know if that'll get us in the news, but
We're hoping more for like F her, bitch, something like that.
Something like that. But listen, Ann Coulter, you're always great on Bernie and Sid.
We love you.
We appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Good to talk to you guys.
Always
See you soon.
stay strong. Stay strong.
Take
Here
care.
on Bernie and Sid, back after this.